let's have a car conversation. Someone I know wanted a advanced description and understanding of the economics of splinterlands. So I'm going to give it a shot. Maybe I'll do this in one take. Maybe I'll delete this and try again. Maybe this is the fourth take. It isn't. This is the first take. All right. So advanced economics, I think, has to do with a history lesson of splinterlands, together with its present day intricacies. And what I like to say is that a complex market, I'm sure other people say this too, a complex market is one that can't be easily manipulated because there's multiple factors pulling in different directions, and people that have competing interests that are hopefully all positively aligned in general for the health, overall economic health of the game, the community, whoever we're looking at, I guess. And so when it's complex, there's actually a benefit to that. In the economic world, the regular economic world is very complex, of course. So let's establish a few things. We have assets, cards, Splinterlands cards. There are multiple editions of the cards. They have existed for 3 years. It started with alpha, went to beta, then went to some like temporary packs, and you got reward cards that are given out to players based on wins, so there's economic incentives to play the game and to hold assets and stuff. So alpha, beta, rewards, promo cards, dice and orbs, lots of editions of cards. All right, and then we have what is called DEC, Dark Energy Crystals. I would call this a transactional currency, an asset that is a transactional currency. You use that to buy cards, use that to rent cards. You can use that as one of the options that Splinterlands offers to buy products from them. Buying cards from the market, buying cards as rentals, those aren't from Splinterlands. They do not sell cards. They sell packs. Packs of cards, 5 cards in a pack. And that's the alpha I'm referring to. When they sold them, they were in packs. When you buy cards, look at the distinction here. When you buy cards, you are buying directly from other users. There's an underlying protocol that just helps any market interface to do this. And Peak Monsters is one of the market interfaces, the second largest, with splinterlands.com being the largest interface, because most people don't know we exist, and obviously far superior in almost every way, especially saving time and money. Okay, so DEC is the transactional currency for all those things, but they allow purchases from their site when they have products like packs is their main product, and they had land is another asset, and they were selling both of them, and you could buy for just tons of currency options, even including PayPal with fiat money, but things like Bitcoin and BUSD and all sorts of things are available to just buy these assets from them. Packs. There have been no packs for many months. They sold out when things started to go crazy. No packs. October 18th, they will again start the pack sale. So they will have assets again, and you will be able to buy with tons of different currencies. Okay, so we've got dark energy crystal, which is a transactional currency. It is considered an asset, which is important because the next thing that they did, well, not the next thing, there was a few things in between, we'll get back to them, but the next token that they did, that's not true either. Let me back up and say that there's been lots of tokens, technically speaking. Each of those packs is a token, technically speaking. And they are tradable, they're fungible. So you can, and there are markets for them where people that once upon a time, like me, bought packs at $2 with discounts. Bulk discounts, DEC discounts. And so therefore, like you were buying beta cards for sometimes as low as $1.30, $1.20, that sort of thing. There was discounts on some of these packs, and they were always going for $2. Well, the 3 main editions were going for $2 with bulk discounts. And if you have them still unopened, they are still tokens, technically speaking. So like the alpha tokens probably could easily be purchased. I mean, you've seen them, I've seen them bought and sold for $230+ a piece. Betas for, 50, 60, I don't know what they're at right now. I'm just throwing out numbers of what I recall. Untamed for 40 or so. Statistically speaking, it is easy to understand what the statistical probable value is of opening a pack, because it has a provable, like it's been proved for years now, of its distribution drop between card rarities: common, rare, epic, legendary. And they are like, it's 70, 25, 4, 1, that sort of thing. Or 0.9. Numbers aren't exact, don't quote me on that. And then there's gold foil versions of the same card that, roughly speaking, used to have a 50 times value sort of thing. That's statistically speaking. Average, law of averages, right? Anyways, we were on this side note where there's lots of tokens because each pack is a token, and several other things like their offering of an asset called lands, which the programming, the ability of what those things can do still doesn't even exist, but they were sold out a while back and have gone up 20 times in value already, with a lot of people thinking, at least a couple times more. All right, so there is a lot of inclusion of random token assets in the game, but we have one transactional asset, one transactional currency, and just to repeat it so it stays, it is the DEC, technically Dark Energy Crystal. It is a game, and they have fun names. Dark Energy Crystals, DEC for short. Then the ramp up of the craziness in the game came around the time of 2 main things: a brand new rental system that made it so that all those holding assets would earn more DEC as you rented them out to other people to play with. So you would, in essence, get an APR from holding cards and renting them out, meaning the card may be worth $100 and maybe you're getting 35 cents a day or something like that, and then I don't know what that ends up being. I was trying to make it sound like 100% APR. Is that, the math isn't exact. Anyways. Or if you got $1 a day, I guess that'd be 356% APR. Something like that. All right. Anyway, so lots of people were starting to rent at that time, and then also they announced a governance token. The concept of a governance token has a lot to do with governance, but it goes beyond that. But I'll explain the governance side of it. If the game wanted to make a change or decision, they're having to do it, and all the pressure lays on them, and all of the work lays on them. So to create inside of the code a system where people that have this token, based on how much you have, could make a vote. So it'd be like, though it's like those that have equity, it is not equity, but it is like those that have equity making a vote on what the company should do. So it will be programmed into the code. So for example, easy example, if a card seems to be way too powerful during gameplay, everyone that has that token staked can they can vote on whether or not it should be changed, lowered, or high, raised, and what happens with the token itself, the governance token. Who should be in charge of that? It should be decentralized, and it's eventually going to be, there has to be kind of a custodian to get it to that point until all the technical aspects are developed. So this governance token does a lot of this, but it's going to be used to determine lots of things. So when that was launched, they decided that these tokens needed to be distributed a lot. Okay, so now let's talk about distribution of these tokens. Now the first one, we'll talk about other assets, right? So PAX was a token of sorts. It is. There was 150,000, if I'm not mistaken, alpha PAX. They sold out a year or so, less than a year. So they made 300,000 beta packs. So that's, 5 cards in each. So, 1.5 million cards. And then you combine the cards to increase the levels of the cards and play at higher leagues and higher levels. And, the people at the lowest leagues are all playing each other with, decks of cards worth, tens of dollars, maybe hundreds. And the next level, they're playing against each other with decks of cards worth high hundreds, maybe thousand. And then, you go up to they're playing against each other with decks of cards worth thousands. And at the top, they're playing each other with decks of cards worth often hundreds of thousands. Or they're renting them and they did not have to pay hundreds of thousands. They're probably just paying tens of dollars, or like $10 a day to play at the high levels. Still expensive. All right, so you had increasing distribution, but they were always limited. There was 150,000 limit on alpha, 300,000 on beta, 1.5 million on Untamed, and now the next one, Chaos Legion, 15 million. So it sounds like a big jump, but when you consider that between Untamed and the next edition, there has been way more than a 10x jump in player base. Way more, like more than 20x. So doing just 10x more cards is perhaps even very limited. Okay, so now what about the more like transactional assets and governance assets? How many of those? Now, DEC does not have a hard cap limit. There are several what you would call faucets and sinks where the water comes in, but then in other methods where it goes out, so it doesn't just overflow and become worthless because it's just everywhere on the ground, getting everything wet. So, DEC is distributed in a couple of different pools to those that provide liquidity funding to give DEC a liquidity pool on Ethereum on Ethereum, because that's where it existed. I mean, that's where they were focused on it first for a little while. DEC is also given out inside of daily and monthly rewards for playing. Seasonal, so it's basically by twice a month. So every day you have a chance to open up a chest where inside of it you may have a card, or you may just have DEC, the transactional currency. So you can go use it to buy stuff. Or you get a card and you didn't have to buy it, you just got it. And they chose which one you got, I guess. Well, they didn't choose, randomly distributes. Okay. So, cards. All right. So the DEC is going up based on that. You know, every day, daily increase of DEC to those that play, and people can have multiple accounts. And then the twice a month. And then every time you win a battle, it also gives a little bit of DEC. That is a pool, and it is based on, well, right now it's about 8 million DEC a day. What they decided, and this is the history lesson, they wanted to see if they could give DEC a par value. And that means and they wanted it to be 1,000 DEC to $1 as a par value. Some people say pegged. No, wrong terminology. Wrong. Bad. Okay, so a par value, meaning if you were to give us 2,000 DEC, we would sell you a pack. And obviously, Splinterlands is the one that sells packs of cards. And so they said, $2 of any currency, but we will give a par value of 2,000 DEC per pack. And they did that with a couple. Did they do that with a couple other things? I think they probably did that with land. I'm sure there was some other things I'm forgetting. But that's the important thing, is the pack. So therefore, a lot of people just assumed and looked at, including myself, that DEC's value was 1,000 to $1. And so what they did is DEC started to go over that because there was no one enforcing it, and there was no longer any cards, any packs to sell. And so that kind of went away. So what they said is, we are going to increase the inflation of these tokens based on how high the token goes. So it has its own natural effect to bring it maybe back down, instead of it having runaway price value. Okay, so basically, if it's at, like right now, 8,000, what would you say? It's instead of 0.001 being the value of a DEC, 0.001, it is now 0.008 is the value of DEC. Okay, so the easy math for that is, if you have 1,000 DEC, you have $8. It used to be around $1, and it actually for a while was around 60 cents. So it has gone up quite a bit, and you'll see its connection with SPS. It would obviously be very nice to have diagrams and graphs of all of this. I'm not going to make it, and so I don't know how to approach it in the easiest way, and I talk a lot. That's my approach to this sort of stuff. I want people to have lots of information, and I know that graphs can give a decent amount if done well. Diagrams, I should say. But you have to be so good at that to do it really well, to give tons of good information. Okay, so where were we at? And so now there's 8 million DEC being given away every day to those that play the game. But, I mean, it's gone up 8 times. But if you think about it, there's been a 20 to 30x in the number of players and the number of games played. So the actual amount that you're earning per win is gone down significantly. But the value of the token has gone up. Does it kind of correlate to the same overall amount, dollar amount? No, it's actually gone down a little bit. Maybe that goes to show it was just so easy to earn so much while playing that so many people came in. So also, people decide in the market how much things are worth. DEC is worth that not because the game had any say of value, really. Well, they have impact on it, of course. They actually created another thing called splinterlands credits. Credits is a very generic term, and it's easy to confuse with anything else that uses the term credits. But what do credits do? Well, they allow you to buy credits with any token you want, including PayPal, US dollars, and then they will take DEC that they own and pay the cost to the owners and the renters, you know, that sort of stuff. They'll pay for them with these credits. So, but these cannot be traded and sent one another from other people, these credits. You can buy them from Splinterlands and then use them. That's to avoid any financial, like legal issues, right? So those are simply like if you were to buy random coins on some random game, they would, yeah. But they will buy the stuff for you that you would need and send the real transactional currency, which again is DEC. Okay, so DEC has had a long history of ups and downs, and since the governance token launch, it has only been up, really. A couple times where maybe a week or so of stagnant or down, or, you know, like, I mean, it's kind of hovered a lot. It's hovered around 5 to 7 a lot. That's, I guess, mainly where it's hovered. You know, the 7, like $1, like, I don't know how you'd say it. 1,000 equals $7. That's how I think of it. Well, right now, $8. In any case, the big reason is back to SPS, which is the governance token, SPS, Splinter Shards. Splinter Shards we introduced as a way to govern the game, but also there's going to be more things with it. And their objective was to give out as many as possible. So that's why we took a moment to describe a lot of different assets. Okay? They're trying to give out 3 billion of these tokens in the next 6 years. And they're not even going to give out that many, but they're giving out a lot. Presently, there's maybe 240 million of them given out but it's only been 2 months, and they don't have some of the inflation methods rolling yet. So they're giving out to airdrop to those that will hold assets. And the second way is they're giving out to those that were investors, like institutional investors, like larger names in the crypto blockchain gaming spaces, like the Blockchain Founders Fund, or is that what it's called? Founders Fund. Some other big investors and some of them we don't even know who they are. So they're giving them in a rolled out method. They're giving out to the airdrop rolled out method. They will turn on faucets, like giving to those that play the game and win. Oh, they're also giving out some to those that play tournaments in the game and win. That's already started, but it's been kind of manual, so they're going to automate it in the future and allow the governance to decide that. So if you want to say, hey, look, this kind of tournament should be about this, and people vote, and this kind of tournament for newbies should be increased or decreased. And then other faucets to like those that provide liquidity into a liquidity pool, which you may have to go look at a discussion video about liquidity pools. But to those that are providing this benefit, maybe that token can help those people as well. They are providing a lot of great value to the ecosystem, and therefore they should have more say in the direction of the game. Therefore they should have more governance tokens. That's kind of the theory behind this. Okay, but the governance token also, there's another faucet, or what you would call a inflation pool, and that is to those that stake, that set aside their tokens for a 4-week period. Technically it's not really 4 full weeks, but if you stake it, set to the side, then you get some from a pool, and that pool's like 250,000 SPS a day, and it goes out to those based on how much of the pool that or how much of that staking that you've done. So right now, for example, we just went over 100 million of the tokens are staked. Out of the 240 million, it's just about half. I think it's probably up close to half right now. So therefore, yeah, I mean, if you were to stake 50 out of 100 million, or even 60 out of 120 million, let's say, then you would get half of those new tokens. If you had half of the staking, you'd get half of the new tokens. No one has that amount. 1 million is an insanely large amount. It's distributed amongst over 90,000 or 70,000 accounts. And our site even has the stats and the lists of all these account names instead of just wallet addresses. Hive has names, human readable usernames. Okay, so 70,000 people staking up to 120 million tokens, and therefore you can easily just figure out the APR of that. Simple math, well, decently simple. And right now, so it ends up being about 84%, 82% APR. It starts off basically infinitely large, quickly goes to 400-500%, and then slowly goes all the way down to 200 and 100 and something, and then they make another big announcement and boom, down to 80. Okay, so I think it's maybe time to move to the latest big announcement to understand the economics of it all. So just as a recap, SBS has many inflation pools. It was sold to institutional investors for something around 1.8 cents, and it launched it always launches crazy, but let's say after it stabilized, after a few minutes or like a couple hours, it was something like 60, 70, down to 20, up to 30, 40, 50, and then has been, hovering between 30 and 40 for a lot, like a good proportion of that time. I'd say was 30 to 40, 50 maybe even. So, and it hasn't been that for a few weeks. And you start to think, oh, is this because of, there's mini inflation methods and stuff like that. So down to, I think the lowest ever was 22 cents. Maybe 20 cents, I can't remember. In any case, that's good to know that there's a few, there's another, those that own assets is the biggest thing. That's the airdrop. That is a 1 year, 365-day airdrop where 1 million tokens given out every day for 1 year. 1 million tokens every day for 1 year. So then you have to assign airdrop points. You have to give every asset in the game a value. And then you would say, this is how many of these points I own, how much asset points I own. And then you would do the same sort of math, which is technically your number of asset points divided by the total number of assets points in the whole entire game, and that is your percentage. Then you take your percentage and times it by the 1 million inflation, and that's how many you get in a day. Each day, but then you know that your asset points go up or down, the total amount goes up and down, and this is where we really need to integrate something important. DEC is an asset. It's given 1 point, but there are many of us that own millions of DEC. And so prior to the official launch, I was like, I gotta buy more of these DEC. I owned some because Peak Monsters, when it facilitates the sale between one user and another, we get something like a royalty from that sale. So we had lots of DEC, and then I said, no, we gotta get more. This is gonna be worthwhile. This is gonna be a good thing. I think DEC is gonna stay at least $1 per 1,000. Little did I know it'd go way up above that. But I still bought a decent amount, and other people did too. And DEC is the cheapest way to get airdrop points. You can have packs, they get airdrop points. Every card has a thing called collection power, and that's another way to do it. And then lands and titles and random things like that. They all have airdrop points associated with them. But DEC became the cheapest way to get airdrop points. In fact, if you took the value in the whole airdrop, the daily airdrop, and then you figured out, well, you would know from the market how much DEC is being traded for on external markets, right? And so then if you took that value, did that math, the APR looks something like 280%, and almost for the whole time has been above 200%. People do wonder though, and think back to the days when DEC was 8 times lower. So some people are risk adverse to having DEC. So there's that. The suggestion is to put it to hedge that risk. And basically risk means higher risk means higher reward in this case. And I'm not totally sold that it is a very high risk, to be honest, but I understand where they're coming from. Okay, so back to life. Yeah, back to reality. Okay, so you could put them into liquidity pools with DEC and the BUSD, so Binance's US dollar, in a pair together. There's another Ethereum plus DEC, and I believe that there's a DAI, so another stable coin with ETH. And then on the Hive platform, there's a secondary, like a second layer solution, and they have pools there. So you've got it matched with Hive, you have it matched with SPS, DEC and SPS. So that's the one that I find the most interesting, because when DEC goes up, if I'm in the DEC BUSD, BUSD stays the same. So if DEC goes up, I lose DEC and I earn more BUSD. So the pool stays level in value, in dollar value. Now the value of $1 stays $1. So you just need more of those to equal out as DEC increases in value, and that's what's happened. I keep getting less and less DEC and more US dollars, but this airdrop is so valuable, I am at times regretting that recently, and I want to move over to SPS and DEC because they seem to be attached. Because if you can earn SPS by having assets, and DEC is the best asset to, the cheapest asset to get, then when SPS goes up, more people say, well, I can get SPS with DEC, so DEC goes up. So they tend to both go up and down, more closely related. Other pools aren't as closely related, and therefore it's not as good. So if DEC goes up, I don't mind having more SPS. And if SPS goes up way more than DEC, then I don't mind having DEC because DEC gets me SPS. That's my thinking, but it's on a system that does not do an inherent APR for fees. So most liquidity providers systems give rewards, like part of the fee to use these systems is distributed back to those that provide the money. So the majority of that. So about I'm trying to think of it, at least 1.5%. Okay. Sorry. A lot more of that goes back to the provider, not 1.5%. I guess that'd be more like 98%. No, what would it be? 75%? Anyway, we'll skip that for now. On Hive and the second layer system, there is no fee to use these pools. So no fee goes to those that provide liquidity. But I put it in there to manage the risk between the movement of the two and to double my airdrop points. So when you have your DEC in the pool, DEC alone is 1 airdrop point. When you have it in a pool, it becomes worth 2. So I do that. But I'm only going to be doing that for 16 to 17 more days, because that's when we get into the newest, biggest thing, which is vouchers. If they're only going to do 15 million packs for an audience that has gone up 20 to 30x since they sold 1.5 million, then it's going to be very competitive. So they are raising the price of packs to $4 with discounts. And discounts that at the highest level could make it go down to $3. And then to make sure they don't sell out in one day, and to allow those that buy the packs to determine the price of the packs. So Splinterland saying, look, we'll only take $4 of value from these packs, or $3, I guess, in most cases. We'll take the $3 of value of these packs, and we'll let the market decide their actual real value as they resell them. So there is scarcity to the packs. One would assume it goes above that. Maybe. It's not guaranteed, of course. Yeah, so you've got the buyers of the packs will be able to determine the real value of the packs. And if we recall back to the early part of the conversation, that Alpha sold for $2, well below that, Beta, Untamed, and now they're like $200 or $50 or $40. So, but during those times they weren't, and they become worth more. So now maybe the same thing happens. They sell for $3, but in the secondary market they're going for less than that. Highly unlikely, but still possible. Now, there's a lot of perks to being involved in the first 30 days, which is the pre-sale. There's a lot of perks to be involved in the pre-sale. Again, a lot of perks to be involved in the pre-sale. You could get a token, a title, which has airdrop points value associated to it. A lot of it. If it's like the other titles, that alone is worth $800. You could be getting a bunch of cards. Now, if you did the 2,000 card thing, which is like $8,000, and you could be getting the 2 of those titles. I think, yeah. So it's already $1,600 of value there. Potentially, they haven't said what its airdrop point value is. You could be getting cards worth a lot. But I think, do you get 1 title or 2? Anyways, there's a way to do this math. Boom, boom, boom. You look at the posts and you're like, I'll spreadsheet this up, and it's interesting stuff. And then you get some cards that are going to be only those in the pre-sale, that first 30 days could get this specific card. And then some other airdrop cards through the life of the next year. So there's some interesting value, of course. And so everyone's looking at the pre-sale. Obviously, they want to be first, and maybe they want to rent first. Maybe they want to be the first ones to play the new format of playing with these cards, and a whole new distribution pool now kind of being split into 2. So now DEC actually maybe doubled the amount that they give out. So instead of 8 million a day, maybe it could go to 16. That part hasn't been determined either. So obviously supply increases, but also a lot of new players, and a lot of anytime you need to, the rentals and market purchases are all done with that as well. So, but also if SBS goes up, we also saw that there's an increasing impact. So there may be a lot of inflation right now, or maybe it's not. But also, I'm starting to get tired now. But also, when SBS goes up, we saw how I described how it impacts the price of DEC. Okay, because that's a good airdrop asset. Okay, so the new packs, just to give an example of, maybe those pre-sale editions could be worth somewhere between $1.50 to $3 a pack. So then therefore the voucher that you're getting, I don't think I described this. Just a second. Let me describe that first. Those that stake SPS will be given vouchers. They are going to give out 33,000 vouchers a day. So it's totally based on how much is staked. So let's say that there was 33 million staked, which there's not. Then that means every 1,000. Okay, let's do it this way. Let's say there's only 33,000 SPS staked, and there was 33,000 vouchers given out each day. Then that would mean every SPS that you staked, you'd get a voucher. The voucher is simply the privilege of the privilege of paying for a card during that 1 month period. But they have said that the voucher will lead to other things, especially anything, my assumption is anything that has some element of scarcity, where they would like it to last a year so that they're not spending 24/7 developing new and new cards every day, because everything sells out each day. So scarcity is important so that they can develop other things. So they give out vouchers. They let people decide how much those vouchers are worth, and thus deciding the value of packs in a way. So yeah, you get a bunch of packs if you have a lot of SPS stake. That's why I said in 17 days when this starts, I'll move my SPS out of these pools and all into staking. But right now, it's in the pools because that's the fastest, best way to just accumulate a ton each day. So there you go. And even though I bought a lot of DEC at very low values, I have bought plenty at the higher values. And it doesn't stop the fact from our site does the math, and I look at it and I'm like, oh, it's at 260, 280% APR, you know? But there is that risk of DEC going down, but it seems there's a pull downwards, but there's pulls upwards. There's pushes, pulls down and up. And one very significant one is people want SPS, and therefore you want DEC as a very good way of getting SPS. Of course, you can just buy SPS, which is fine. But then you just get one for one. You could buy DEC, and over the course of the next 300 days of airdrop, for that same amount you would have spent on SPS, you could have ended up with several SPS at the end. So there you go. And therefore packs are coming out, and that means a lot more attention on the game. A lot more new players are going to be able to be capable of playing because card prices, not pack prices went up, of course, but card prices went up a lot as well. So getting in and being able to play is very difficult. To get enough cards to play at the league that you want to play, it can be very expensive. So a new set of $3 to $4 cards, maybe 6 in the resale market, maybe 8, is much cheaper way of getting new cards. The older cards still retain a lot of worth. They have higher levels of airdrop points. They have more scarcity, because only 300,000 or 1.5 million cards, 300,000 packs, were done of this edition. Now this new edition is going to be 15 million, so it's much different, 50 times different. So scarcity and the rarity of different cards. Even though new cards may be completely and awesomely playable and maybe just as good as the old cards. But the scarcity and the ability to play in different tournaments and just stuff like that is what gives older stuff still some good value. All right, so new packs coming up brings in new players, but also Splinterlands, who has the right to sell packs. It's their right. They created the game. They sell the packs. They're willing to take SPS tokens for the first 1 million packs. They would like more themselves. Of course, they're the creator of the tokens, but it's not like they just gave themselves infinite amount of tokens. So they're willing to sell packs for some of these SPS at a discount. Therefore, it is presumed that almost everyone that buys during the pre-sale will, at least 1 second before they buy their packs, convert whatever token, whatever asset they had, Bitcoin, whatever, they'll convert it into SPS. Thus, that's a lot of buying pressure on SPS. Not infinite amount of buying pressure, but a decent amount. It's $3 to $4 million of buying pressure during the first month. We don't know what SPS will be valued at. If it's $1 per token by that time, then that means 3 to 4 million of those tokens will go out of circulation into the hands of Splinterlands, who is offering their product for those tokens. All right, so that looks good. And at some point, there will be a day when DEC is no longer, like, the airdrop is gone, and therefore DEC doesn't have that airdrop value. But they've already said that it will have value, because if it's put into a liquidity pool, they will give out SPS in the future. They have not programmed that contract to automatically go. Now, SPS is native to BSC, Binance Smart Chain. Most other things are native to the second layer Hive solution called Hive Engine. There are pegged versions of DEC on several different blockchains, like Ethereum and even Tron years ago. No one uses it. Do I have anything else to say? I have to go get gas, so I need to look at the map. But I hope you enjoyed my 1-hour podcast that I hope you listen to at 2 speed, so 30-minute podcast, I suppose. Even on YouTube, I consider these more like podcasts. I don't care if you watched my face at all, and I don't think you should have. That would have been boring. So, there's other things I know I'm missing, and you can ask questions. And maybe I'll do an AMA answering questions at some point. And let's see. So my day in the life is I'll go in and claim my daily airdrop from Splinterlands, take the SPS token, send it over to the second layer system called Hive Engine. It's a site called tribaldex.com is what I use. I'll put it into the liquidity pool with DEC, which also means I remove from the DEC BUS liquidity pool, and I remove that DEC part, put them together, because I like the way that they interact with each other more than the BUSD, because I don't necessarily want more BUSD right now. I don't want more US dollars right now. I want more of these tokens that I believe are going up in value. US dollar stays the same in value. I want more tokens that go up in value, and then eventually convert it to US dollar at some future time when I need it. Don't need it right now. So in some future day when I want, like, oh, how about this $1 million of the US dollar to buy a house or something like that. So there you go. So that's what I do, and in 16 days, I will move it all back into staked into in-game staking, And that APR that has gone down to 80, I suppose is probably going to go way down to, from 80 down to 60, 50%. And obviously I could be getting more if I were to keep it, sell it off, put it into DEC, it's like really good. But the value of that token also goes up. So it's nice, you're getting a new inflation, but you're also, the value of the token goes up. So that's why you keep it in SBS if you think that SBS is going up. But also the biggest reason isn't that, it's the vouchers. I want the vouchers. I want the cards that I know will have decent, good value. So, and I can rent those cards. I can play with those cards. I can keep them as packs. The packs will have value, collection power value, remember, or not, sorry, collection airdrop value, 300. So if you do the 300 times the 8 deal, their value is $2.40, just the pack without the cards. Like, don't even open the cards, but you can open them and start renting them and start playing with them and win stuff. And you can win money by playing. I don't play that much. I do play some. I play in tournaments for really high level accounts, the gold foil accounts with, accounts where a lot of the people in there have accounts worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, playing each other, and the value of the reward for winning the tournaments is quite high. Even placing 32nd in the tournament is quite high. So I like being in those tournaments where I feel like I have a chance, and even if I do terribly, I didn't lose. So there's no gambling aspect in playing in the tournament. I just win. All I ever do is win, because I'm playing in games where it's kind of a high stakes, and there's not enough high stakes people. So eventually people will catch on that, hey, if I'm high stakes, I can play in these high stakes tournaments. I should do that. Buy more cards. So it's an incentive to people to buy bigger high stakes kind of cards. A high value. I think stake implies some sort of no, stake doesn't imply gambling inherently, so I think we're good there. But yeah, a lot of they've had a 2-month situation of, or maybe it's more than that, where they got slammed and they were just having to spend time getting the site capable of handling 200,000-300,000 players. And technically, if you look at something like DApp Radar, which ranks lots of different blockchain applications and how many transactions and how many different accounts are interacting with this application, that Splinterlands has been at times number 1, and other times it's number 2 to an application called PancakeSwap, which is known by almost everyone in crypto. But not everyone in crypto knows Splinterlands. So there's, PancakeSwap has millions of users, but only barely more daily users than Splinterlands. Splinterlands has a lot of daily active users, and growing excessively fast, like doubling every month or 2. So it's good news right now, and they've got a good trajectory with what they have planned, let alone this whole lands thing, which can make it go stratospheric once again. But you never know, like they could do some really crappy decision that really hurts, and people may leave because of it. And a lot of us will stay. I mean, there's always been times like that in the game's history where people have come and people like, I don't like this. So they left for different reasons, but more people came than left. And nowadays, tens of thousands of people come every day. So, or people, I don't know, accounts, people with multiple accounts. We don't know. We know that our website has tens and tens of thousands of unique visitors. maybe even during the course of a year, hundreds of thousands. So they're doing well. That's not daily, that's during the course of a month, I meant. All right, I already said I was getting tired a little bit ago. So we should probably stop, and I see that we've hit the 1 hour mark, and I have imparted a lot of information, and this was not a beginner, easy thing. This is all info dump time. This is a pure info dump. And it's up to you. It's not my job. I'm doing all right. I don't need a second job. I don't need a second job. I don't need to teach people on YouTube how to make tons of money. I don't make any money off doing this. I would love people to use our product, Peak Monsters, but it's already the best product, and if you're way into the game, you're using it. Anyway, like, there's no getting around how important our site is. So you can take it for what it's worth. I just wanted to dump a bunch of information because I had one friend in particular said, please share all aspects of the economics, and he's very economically centered and can understand a lot of things. So I thought of him in mind for a lot of it, but talked a little bit more to someone I haven't spoken with in the past and thought, hey, this will go decently on YouTube. Or you guys are just going to be confused out of your gourd by half of it. But then in a couple weeks time, you'll learn some more from other venues, and you'll go, let me re-listen to that Jarvie video. And you're like, oh, it makes more sense. And then another month goes by and you listen to it again. It's like, I get what he's saying. Almost all of it. And then we're on the same wavelength, I guess. So I am, I guess, am I supposed to say this is not financial advice? Obviously it isn't. I didn't give any advice. I just told facts. And so that should be obvious. And I said what I was doing, and I liked it, and I felt highly about the team creating it, and they're bringing on very solid employees, very solid, which is good. I should know that because we're trying to look for that sort of thing. We know how important that would be for our companies. And then the economics, I think of one way they should do it. Someone else thinks of another way. They come out with a third way, and you're like, huh, clever. I see where you're coming from. And they do have holes in that are exploitable here and there. And then they're not super fast to patch them, but they get patched. And I guess it's something of a bounty to those that exploit. Go and find things to exploit, and we'll see when that really is an issue. And they're not it's not bad exploits usually ever, the amount of, years ago there was one where people were earning way too many packs for playing the game. And creating incentive to create a bunch of accounts to earn packs. So, some people earned hundreds of packs more than they probably should have, but in the grand scheme of things, hundreds of packs means nothing, especially when we're about to see 15 million new packs. Anyways, I know I keep on trying to think of things because I just don't want to do another video like this. I want to do more videos, but not like this one. I would love for this to be the end-all, be-all to the everything you ever would need to know about Splinterlands economics. I'm sure someone can do a better job than me in a shorter period of time. Probably not with this much detail, though. Or this much. Yeah, anyways. There you go. Bye.